Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, sorry, Bailey. Just hit the unrecorded the button.
That's fine.
Welcome back. Okay, it seems like everyone is almost back on. We got Grace back. Toya's got her Jimmy rig going on, but it's gonna work. I love it.
Some duct tape on it.
Okay, so I'm really excited about this week because this week we are going to start marketing. And so, you know, anyone can just go out there and send stuff out. And we know what has worked in the past. And did I say Sharon? Oh my gosh. Toya is going to share with us some of the things. Oh, was that you, Toya?
Toya's airplanes.
Toya is going to share some of the things that she has used in the past that has worked. And so in a moment, I'm going to let Toya start talking. And in the chat room, or if you are on your computer, if you look in our team folder under Mastermind number 5, there's some marketing. There's a marketing strategy. What do you call this? Handout. That's in there. I'm also going to put it in the chat in just a moment. So if you are in Dropbox, you can go to Dropbox and go simply to Mastermind number 5 in our team folder and pull it from there and open it up, print it out if you want. And I'm going to drop it in the chat box for those of you that don't have Dropbox available. So when you get that, go ahead and download it and pull it open. So Toya, thank you for joining us, dear. So shed some light to these warriors on some of the marketing techniques that you've used in the past, that you've heard about, maybe have worked for you or others, and you know, maybe some insight on how to make the marketing work.
Okay, so I kind of feel like the marketing, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Kind of feel like I have to write this in pencil because it changes so much. So I'll just talk about the types of marketing I've done and that I currently do. So I've done bandit signs. I've started cold calling. I did a little bit of cold calling myself, but I also use a service now, so I'll talk about that a little later on. I do a lot of direct mail, so probably 90% of my deals came from direct mail marketing. I do driving for dollars still. I door knock occasionally, and I'll talk more about that later on. I've closed a deal on the MLS, and that came from a referral from a realtor friend, and networking. So since I do 90% of my deals via direct mail, I'll talk, this talk will be mainly about direct mail marketing. So we'll start off by talking about the targeted list, the list that I mail to and where I actually list from, or where you can get them from, whether they're paid or free services. So the types of lists that I market to are high equity absentee owner. And if I'm going to do absentee owners, high equity specifically, then I try to go for out-of-state owners. And the reason why is because they're not around to see what the properties look like. And so they'll probably be more motivated to sell. So those are more low-hanging fruit. And I hear an echo.
Toya, I think that echo is you.
I know. Code violations are also, so the types of list, and then you'll see on the right-hand side where you can get those types of lists from. So high equity, you can get those from Land with Title. You can go, for those of you that have Property Radar, you can get those from Property Radar. I go to a guy that has a site called flipthisrealestatelyst.com. And that's where I usually buy my list from. You can also get them from ListSource, which are really cheap. I think they're probably like 10 cents a lead for absentee owners. Yellowletters.com, Yellow Letters Complete, a site called findmotivatedsellers.com, and another source is vacanthousedatafeed.com. And there's so many other places where you can get lists from. Code violations for the city of Los Angeles, that you can get those for free, but it's only for the city of LA. And my friend that has the Flip This Real Estate List website, he now has code violations. So I believe he has them for not just LA, but California. So I texted him yesterday to see if his website was updated, and he said yes. So you can go to a site if you want to and just look at all the types of leads that he has. But he's one of the only ones that I know that has code violations. Also, I mail to high equity absentee owners where the houses are vacant. And so those are really cool because those are ones where these could be inherited properties or properties where someone has died. And so you're wanting to get in contact with the heirs. And so those are really low hanging fruit. And most of those properties are free and clear. And then to the right is where you can get those lists. I also have mailed to absentee owners tax delinquent, and I actually closed the deal on that one. That was in, I forget what city. But yeah, the owner lived in Vegas. He was renting it out to a tenant. The tenant had been there for over 25 years, and she stopped paying the rent. And he was motivated to sell at that point. So we ended up having to do cash for keys on that one, and got the property.
That was La Puente.
La Puente, thank you. I couldn't remember the city.
Yeah.
Also, I go after absentee owners 65 years and older. And I've closed several deals from that list. And I've gotten that list from, I've either gotten it from yellowletterscomplete.com or flipthisrealestatelyst.com. And I'm not sure if you can get that list from the title company or not, because it's this is basically showing the age of the person.
I know this. In the title company, you can definitely get an absentee owner list. Does everyone understand how the title company pulls the absentee owner list? Or how they're able to come up with that? Anyone want to share? Okay, so title can pull an absentee owner list simply by figuring out if the tax bill is sent to the same address as the property address. So think about it. If Grace owns a property in Garden Grove and she lives in Colton, for example, she doesn't want the tax bill going to the tenant that's in Garden Grove. She wants the tax bill to go to her. So it's going to a different address. So by simply searching that where the tax bill goes, if it's not the same address, then that's considered an absentee owner. But I guess what Toya is asking is, can the title, and for those of you that went on title tour, maybe they talked about this or not, but just know you can get farm lists like absentee owners for absolutely free. There's no charge. However, I think what's really important about this, for example, is that she can pull an absentee owner and through one of these sources determine whether or not they're 65 years or older. So I think that's really critical. Go ahead, Toya.
And just to expound on what you just said, you want to just start narrowing on your leads. So it's just digging deeper. So you're wanting to get more than one pain, for example. not only is it absentee, but the person is of a certain age. So let's say that they're out of town and they're 80 years old. How often are they going to get back to that property to see what it looks like? And they're probably tired of being a landlord. So you want to kill 2 or 3 or 4 birds with one stone if you can. So that's kind of like why I break it down into different types of lists, not just absentee, but absentee and vacant and out of state and 65 or older. And I've gotten one where it had all of those. Property had been vacant for 2 years. The heirs lived in Florida and he was over 65 years old. And the property was free and clear.
Wow. That was
Yeah,
LA.
that was Hobart.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this list, Toya, and it seems like the one that fits all these bills is flipthisrealestatelists.com.
I don't want to like push him because I'm not getting paid by any of these people. So I mean, I don't get an affiliate. Like, it doesn't matter. He's one of the ones that I'm able to narrow down and just, you know, ask, hey, can you pull this? Can you do this? Can you add this on there? Can you, you know, it can get more expensive, but he claims to be the cheapest in town. Guaranteed. He has that on his website. So if you guys call him or reach out to him, remind him of that.
Yeah. And what's his name again?
His name is Eric Torrente.
Eric Torrente. Yeah. So again, I think what's really important to know about this is that there's a lot of list sources out there, and she's giving you someone very specific, or all these websites are specific on where she's getting great lists.
And most of the ones I have used before. So like I have used Property Radar, I have used List Source, I have used YellowLettersComplete.com, I have used YellowLetters.com. Yellow Letters actually has a special where they're doing a marketing campaign. I think it's like a 4-drip campaign, and they'll provide the list. So, I mean, you can just I think that the message would be just like find, you know, a specific list that you want to target and then choose someone.
So I have a quick question. How many of you have actually sent out any kind of marketing or a mailer like what Toya has mentioned? Okay, so, all right, Karen, Cindy, Sherry, Jarek, what did you send, Jarek? Roxana? Jarek, what did you send? I'm sorry, I'm gonna unmute you. Go ahead.
I used to have the Realty, it's another software, but then I use their yellow letters going out.
I'm sorry, what was the software, Jarek? I missed it.
Realty Flow. I'm sorry, Realty Flow. So I use them as a service to send yellow letters out. Can you understand?
Did anyone get that?
No?
Did anyone get that? I didn't get that. Say it one more time, Jared.
Type it in the chat.
Number 5 alive.
I'm just typing it.
Yeah, just real flow. Got it. Okay. Did you like it? Did it work?
Real Flow.
Okay, Jarek, we're gonna come back to you.
No, I don't like it. That's why I'm asking for Property Radar if it's good.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. And then what about you, Roxana? What did you use?
I use listability.com.
Listability. Have you heard of that, Toya?
I have.
And what's your take?
I've never used it. I hear people in like the chat rooms and stuff talk about listability. So I've heard good things about it.
And Roxana, what did you pull on listability?
I pulled owners that have been living there for 20 years at least, in Orange County, where the zip codes that I'm focusing on.
Okay.
But it hasn't been too successful.
And how many leads did you get?
I think 1,200.
1,200. And how much did they charge you per lead?
I can't remember per lead, but it was around $130.
Okay, so that wasn't bad. That's a lot of leads for $130.
And you
Okay.
can follow up with them too.
Uh-huh. Okay, listability. So listability is just it's a data source, but they don't do mailers.
Oh no, they don't. I have to tell them.
And so again, Property Radar is a data source, but they don't do mailers. So you may need to hook up with someone like Yellow Letters Complete to do your mailer. Is RealFlow, Mackenzie's asking, Jarek, is RealFlow with Fortune Builders?
The khaki people.
I didn't hear what he said.
Khaki people from Utah.
Khaki people from Utah. That's funny.
Hey, Ernest?
Okay. Okay, thank you, Jarek. Okay, so Toya, you want to go? Keep going? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No worries.
Can I ask something really quick?
Yes, please.
Is vacant house, okay, so there's vacant data feed and vacant house data feed. Are those two different ones or are those the same one? We forgot house.
This is the same one. I probably just didn't write it properly.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I wasn't.
It's been a crazy
something.
day.
Okay, no, that's good. Thanks.
Sorry about that.
Nope, good.
Thank you, teacher.
Stop it.
So we'll continue with probates. And I know that Paul Horn, I made sure I put him on there first. That's
followed by the pound or hash sign.
My fave. I love her.
Yes.
Love him.
So Paul Horn, of course, flip this real estate list. Eric's Rente, yellowletters.com. There's a bunch of different places where you can get probate leads. I know that Paul Horn has numbers, telephone numbers that comes with his. So does probatedata.com. They have them. And also, Eric Torrente now provides telephone numbers for all of his leads, whether it's absentee, whether it's inherited, whether it's divorce, code violations. He now provides telephone numbers where he didn't do that. He didn't have that service before.
Wait a minute. Question: can you get code violations in Southern California?
Eric can.
Huh? All counties or where?
I believe
or
it's
just
all, I believe it's all counties. The only thing, I talked to him about it. He says the only thing is that he can't determine if it's a commercial property or if it's a residential. So it's new, something new that he has. So I haven't bought any code violations from him. So I recently purchased a fresh list from him. And I kind of just asked him what he recommended since I've been buying different types of lists. So I'm just back to the basics now, which is high equity, absentee vacant, and absentee 65 and over. High equity.
So again, am I muted? Can you guys hear me? Okay. So Claire, I just want to point this out to everyone. If you can see the screen here, there is Toya included a link to the Los Angeles code enforcement. You see this here? So when you actually go in there, I was just in there the other day, it actually gives you all the properties that have some sort of weird code thing going on. But the issue with this, and this is what may make Eric's list valuable if you want to pursue code violations, is that when you open this list, it's like 26, 20, maybe 30 pages long, and it just gives you the address and doesn't break it down by city. So you would literally have to go through every single one to find out if it's even anything that you want to look at.
It doesn't give you the city, the zip, or the homeowner's name. However, what it does do, it tells you the type of property it is. It'll tell you if it's a church. It'll tell you if it's land. It'll tell you if it's a triplex, if it's a single family residence, where Eric's does not do that. So if you were to get a list from him and then he sends it back to you in Excel, then you basically have to just scrub it, right? Just delete the ones that you don't want. But you're going to pay for it up front.
And so she has this, the link for the city of LA. And so she doesn't have other ones because I don't think, let's say, for example, Orange County, I don't think they have their code violations online. So if you were looking for code violations in Orange County or a specific city, you may have to go directly to the city and say, you know, is there a list that I can look at that has code violations from the city itself?
Yeah, I know a lot of cities you need to have an address and look it up by the address. So that's why I was surprised, because they don't make it easy.
Yep. So when you can buy a list like that from someone like Eric.
Yeah, I have no idea how Eric pulls his information. Like, he was the first one that I knew that could get inherited leads. These are leads that are not probates. So I've bought that list from him. And that list, because it was like when he first was able to get them, it was 50 cents per lead. So the more exclusive it is, the more expensive it's going to be until someone else figures out how to pull it. And then, of course, the price will go down.
All right, Toya, next.
All right, so we talk about inheritance. He has inheritance, divorce, fire damage properties. The only way I've been able to find those. He hasn't been able to pull them. Eric hasn't. Someone knows how, but they won't disclose it. So I've just found them driving for dollars. That's the only way I know. And maybe you can get a referral from maybe someone that works at the fire department or something like that.
Follow the fire trucks.
Exactly. Ambulance chaser.
Yeah.
I've also mailed to absentee owners evictions where landlords have evicted tenants. I didn't get any calls from that. So after probably like 4 months, I stopped mailing to those. Also, absentee owners quit claim deeds. I mailed to those for a couple months too. I got one call, but it didn't work out, so I stopped mailing to those.
So, Toya, I'm going to interrupt real quick because Jarek asked a question. Over time, what do you think is the best thing to mail to or get lists for? Because I think I heard you say that you're back to the basics, which is over here.
Yeah, I am, which is, yeah, absentee owners, vacants. Yeah, absentee owners 65 and older.
Okay, good. All right.
And then those are cheaper now. So absentee owners are, I mean, like, you can get those for free. So, and then if you're getting them from the title company, or you pay like 10 cents per lead. So those are, you can get thousands of those if you want.
Okay, so then you have all these list source brokers, and it's just kind of it was these guys over here, but the actual live links. So that's cool. And then you want to talk about the vendors you use to send your cards.
Yeah. So I've tried postcards and I've tried letters. Letter seems to work better in California. I used to do yellow letters, and then I stopped doing yellow letters. I started doing stationery paper, where I would do something that was so if we're in, where are we? What month are we in? February, Black History Month. So we do like a black envelope, and I'm being honest, I'm being real. So we do a black envelope with silver writing. Or Valentine's Day. I've done Valentine's Day a lot. So I would do something that has, like, the stationery would be, would have hearts all around it. And then the envelope would be yellow, but have hearts on the outside of it. And then the letters are handwritten. I'm sorry, the envelopes are handwritten. And so, and all of that comes from yellowletterscomplete.com. And so that cost me about $1, let's say $1.15 to $1.20 per letter, because it was so customized. But of course, you can certainly get it done cheaper. Yellowletters.com, like I said, they have specials all the time. And right now they have a campaign where you can do like, I think it's 2 postcards, a letter, and something else. And they add the list in there. So each letter is probably like 69 cents per letter.
So Jarek had a question. Did she answer your question, Jarek? He wanted to know if you were printed or handwritten. So the envelope is handwritten, but the inside is printed.
Correct.
Okay.
So I'm going to try something new in March. I'm going to go with yellowlettershq.com. So it's like the 3rd one on there.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to try this letter where it's the letter's handwritten, but the envelope is a window envelope. And what they're going to do is, so once I upload my list, it's going to do, you know how it has the Google Earth and it shows a picture. If you go to Redfin and you type in an address or Google Earth or something and you put in your address and it'll show your house. So this is what it's going to do. It's going to show a picture of the house. So if the house is vacant, for example, if it's my vacant list and the person lives in Connecticut, for example, then it's going to show a picture of the vacant house in the window envelope. And then when she opens it up, it's going to have the handwritten font basically saying, I want to buy your house.
Wow.
123 Main Street.
I'm going to solve your problem.
Wow, that's pretty tight, Toya.
Pretty
How much is
awesome.
that? How much is that to do per envelope?
And actually, it's not that bad. So I was looking at the price range. And if I'm doing 2,000, for example, it's like, I think it's like 69 cents per letter.
You guys, that's pretty incredible technology right there, where they're going to take the image from Google Maps. Do you think when that owner gets that letter, you think they're going to be compelled to open it? Jesus. So this is what I love about Toya. She's always on the cutting edge of what she's sending out. I haven't seen anyone do this. And so that's really awesome.
Do that on postcards as well as letters. So the postcards would be cheaper, of course.
How much, give us an idea what a postcard would cost.
For this one, I'm not sure, but usually like if I do click to mail, for example, which is on here, click to mail, I think is owned by the U.S. Postal Service, if I'm not mistaken. That's like if you were to upload, if I were to send a postcard from click to mail, that would include you would write your own message, but to print your postcard and have the envelope and have it have the stamp and have them mail it is like 49 cents.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how much it would be for Yellow Letters HQ if you're doing that particular mailer. I mean, they have Yellow Letters. They have all different types of things, but I'm going to try this other one, the Google Earth one, just to see how it works.
Okay, cool.
So I have a
Miriam,
question.
of course. Oh, Miriam, who I don't think she was a warrior, but she was a part of Invest Club, right?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Miriam was there at Buddy's meeting.
Yes.
So she was, that was exciting. I told her that we were in a challenge and that she'd probably get some calls from some of the warriors soon enough because we're talking about marketing this week. So
Cool.
Miriam is great. She, actually I met her through Sean, I think. Right? Yeah. And Sean, and Miriam owns a UPS store and she actually will do mailers, or she's done mailers for other warriors. Do you know what she charges, Sean?
No, but what I do know is you can usually go in with a bulk order. She last time we met with her, I think it was about 5 months ago. I guess she's able to put a bulk order in. But I know she's been playing with it herself, but she's seeing that the postcards get a better hit. At least last time she used it, the postcards get better hit with what I like to call a sniper approach. So if you have a niche, like what Toya was talking about, she's going to put a picture of the house and whatever. That's called a niche. So if you want to get the biggest bang for your buck in professionalism, something like what Toya was talking about, find a service that's competitive. That would be your best bet, I think, because then when you read that, when the seller as I like to call them. When they open it, they feel like you're talking to them. It's not like a shotgun blast, like they're trying to reach everybody.
Right.
So it's
thanks,
quality versus quantity.
Yeah, so just all these sources are available to you guys, and so when you figured out or when you decide what kind of mailer you want to do, obviously they all have different pricing, and it goes cheaper if you have a larger campaign. So if you just want to go local, for example, and just use someone local, definitely hit up Miriam.
And I think too, going local with Miriam, it's like you can kind of like sit down with her and
yeah, she's in Lawndale.
with her. And come up with some ideas, some creative ideas.
Okay, and then Toya, do you see the screen? I have your thing up.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
So I think the last thing I was just saying, I think I was talking to Mackenzie, or I can't remember who it was, where we were talking about, we were handwriting our own letters at one point. So, I mean, that's an option too. So you can, if you have kids, you can incorporate your kids, your spouse, family members. You can hire an intern, somebody to get, to help you get your marketing out. Once you get your list together, you can either be free or cheaper by either handwriting. But I mean, there's so many handwritten fonts out now. You don't have to sit there and handwrite anymore. You can just Xerox it and just stuff the envelopes.
Got it. Okay. And then this is, I think, important to know that if you use any of these particular services, you either have to upload it yourself, and or some of them will do your mail merge, which can be a beast for some people. So
I know people who gave up entirely with click to mail.
What's that?
I know a few people who gave up entirely with click to mail and just could not get that step completed.
Yeah, you like once you do it a couple times and it's cool. Like I wrote procedures out for it, but it's totally changed now. So I would never do it again.
Hey Toya, what do you put for your return address name?
What do I put?
Mm-hmm. You know what I like.
They came up with this. So Yellow Letters Complete, they put the Fabies, and then my P.O. Box address. So
she's got such a great last name. The Fabies. I don't know. It just sounds like celebrities or something. The Fabies, from the Fabies. And it's just her, anyway. It's really cute. I love that.
It sounds like a Furby.
The Furbies, the Fabies. I don't know. It's fun to say.
Okay, so for those of you that have done mailers, do you put your personal return address? Do you use a P.O. box? Cindy, what do you use?
I use a P.O. box.
No. Use the P.O. box.
P.O. box? Bailey?
P.O. box.
I actually have a UPS box because then it has an actual street address. And I actually do the Varnas family.
The
So
Varnas
it's like it's like an invitation to something.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I just want to take your house, but for a while it gets open, so that's the point.
Sherry, what do you use?
Yeah, I use it's a street address UPS box, PO box.
Okay, good. Awesome. So no one has to be afraid of, someone coming to your house after you mail them.
They won't show up. I mean, I had a mailer, I won't say who they are, but they actually used my street address as the return address. And so I started getting return mail, right? And people writing hateful things on there. And I'm like, what if they just show up? But of course, nobody ever did.
So here's the thing. If you don't have a P.O. box, I mean, you can certainly use mine. I don't care. We have a P.O. box, or use a Fellow Warriors. Just make sure you pick up your return mail, because then you need to get it off your list, right? Because you don't want to mail to them again. Remember, when we do marketing, and Toya, I'm sure you're going to touch on this, you got to stay consistent. So I'm gonna shut up so you can continue going.
Oh yeah, and I was going to say also about picking it up. It's not. Sometimes people will write you back and say, "Hey, make me an offer." On your, so it's you're picking it up too, just in case you get some response back because they don't have your home address. And then also just to get the return mail that comes back.
John is asking, what do you do with your return mail? How do you manage that?
Very slowly and tediously. It sucks because a lot comes back. So much comes back. So I will tell you that every time I go to like a seminar for the gurus and stuff that talk about that, I always ask them, what do they do with their return mail? And they send out so much mail, they just don't have time to scrub their list. So for someone like me, I don't want to keep sending it out to a bad address. So sometimes I may miss a month or two in marketing because I'm scrubbing my list to take those off. And I'm also researching by skip tracing to see if I can get a better address. So I either skip trace or delete.
Skip trace or delete.
And or delete, correct.
And then how do you track it? Jarek wants to know how you track your responses from each of the services.
How do I track them from each of the services?
So for example, if you mail out to, let's say you've got a list from Eric, flip this list, and then you went absentee over 65, but you also did a mailer absentee vacant. So how do you track, where, from what mailer it came from?
So what I used to do was when I would send out the letters on the return envelope, on my label with my name and P.O. box, I would have yellow letters complete, put a specific decal on there. So let's say it's an apple. An apple represents vacant. If it's an orange, that represents 65 and older. So when it comes back to me, I'll know what list it belongs to.
And so when they call you, do you ask them?
I don't. So I say the same thing on every letter. I don't care if it's probate. I don't care if it's inherited. I don't care if it's vacant. I say the same exact verbiage. So when they call me, I'll look at their name. So I'll have everything on one spreadsheet. And then when they call and say, hey, I'm John Smith, and then you wrote me regarding 123 Main Street. So I'm going to look up John Smith, 123 Main Street, and then I'll know what type of lead it is.
Okay, so you have it all in one Excel spreadsheet.
Correct.
Awesome. So you don't use anything fancy like a Podio or a CRM or anything like that?
I don't. When I'm not forced to, I don't.
I know that story.
So the obvious question is now being begged. What's your template? Like if you say the same thing, can you share that? What you say?
Yeah.
Also, I think Cindy had something to add a while ago, so when she comes back, let's not forget.
Oh, okay. Well, Cindy.
All right. Let me just grab one.
Thanks, Karen. When you get returns, sometimes they'll even give you the return.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Hold on. I need to get headphones. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. Better.
Okay, so sometimes when you get return mail, the post office will give you the new address. So you can pick it up and update your list.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Cindy, for bringing that up. Yeah, just you have to, whoever asks, how do you track the return or what do you do with the return mail? You got to look at them. And like what Toya mentioned, sometimes she'll skip trace if they can't get it to the seller. Or in this case, like Cindy said, you got to look, it comes back with like this yellow label on it. You have to read what's on that label. Sometimes they will give you the forwarding address. They just didn't forward the piece of mail. So now you got to update that in your list. So thank you, Cindy. Yes, Mackenzie.
What is sometimes, I'm sorry, I'm just going to jump in just for a second. Sometimes they'll mark deceased. Sometimes they'll mark vacant on there. So those are ones you definitely want to go after.
Cool.
So what is skip trace?
Great question.
I don't know if you guys can see this.
Closer.
Birdie.
I can't see lift it up higher, Toya. There you go. What is that? Oh, tulips.
Oh, these are tulips.
Okay, so Mackenzie is asking, what is skip tracing?
Skip tracing is basically like a private detective type thing. So should we just go directly into skip tracing?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll pull up the screen again.
All right, so skip tracing is basically like you're looking to find someone. You could do that via Facebook, but there's some free methods of finding people, and then there's some paid methods. So let's say that you have a lead. Let's say you're driving for dollars and you have an address of someone, and you want to be able to get in contact with that person. You find out the owner's name, and or you may not even know the owner's name. You just have the address. So you put in the address. You can go to these sites. One's called Zaba Search. There's another one called Spokio. There's White Pages. There's People Search. So these are free sites, and there may be other ones, but these are the ones that I'm aware of so far. And you can go in there. You can put your information in there. Just go after we get off the call. Go to one of these links.
Scary.
Right? And then something's gonna pop up. Or you put in your address, right? And it'll probably list the people that live at that address and their telephone numbers and other stuff, birth dates, age, all type of stuff. And so these are links that you'll probably need when you get return mail, for example, or you're needing to find a telephone number. So that's what skip tracing is. So the ones that are paid below, such as Accurate, TLO, which is something that I've used in the past. Now with these paid subscriptions, because they're tied to the credit bureau, they will come to your house and make sure that you have an office with a lock. It has a shredder, and you have a file cabinet with a lock. And the office cannot have a bed in it. And they will come out and they will take pictures before they grant you access.
That's so funny. The office can't have a bed in it.
Yeah, so it can't be a bedroom. So it has to be an official office.
Okay, so I know, what do you call this? Karen, you use findtheseller.com, right? Or somebody did.
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, so I've used findtheseller.com before. This was early on, and they were very expensive. So Find the Seller also, they're the ones that do the vacant data feed. They're the same guy. It's the same guy.
The vacant data feed. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so you would only use skip tracing if, number one, you get some return mail and you want to find out where because you can't locate the seller, number one. And then, so you recommend maybe using one of the free searches first, and then if you had to go to a paid source, then you can use one of these. However, just to kind of reiterate, in order to use one of these, you need to have full office approval.
Except for Find the Seller.
Okay, perfect.
They do not come to your house.
So Find the Seller is expensive, but if you're just doing a one-off, you can use this.
Yes.
Right? Because you don't have to have a full office set up. Does that make sense, Mackenzie? Okay.
And is expensive like $5 a search, or is it an expensive monthly payment?
It used to be $25 per search.
Holy cow.
And they give you everything. Like you have socials, you have how they're registered to vote, you have their relatives, you have the neighbors, you have everything. But they do have a small search now, which is like $10.
Okay, so I want to go back. Roxana asked for your template, and you went and brought your thing out. So do you want to read it?
Should I just send it over to you? And then you
yeah,
guys upload it or whatever? You're not gonna read it. Sorry, Roxana. Well, you're gonna be calling me anyway, so I'll just send it to you, Roxana. You're my girl, so don't fret.
Just go ahead and share it real quick. I'm sure everyone wants to know.
Okay. It says, Dear Marvin, I'm interested in purchasing your house at 1150 West 48th Street. I can buy your house as is, and I won't have any, and you won't have to fix up anything. I can pay all cash and close quickly. To discuss your options, please call me and I use the 800 number, 800-779-0043, or email me at tfaby10@aol.com.
Awesome.
However, I'm going to switch that up.
AOL, baby.
I hate you, Karen. I hate you.
Ouch. 90s are dead, man.
So I'm gonna switch that up a little bit, and I got some feedback from a seller that said that I should include some more of the services that I offer. So I'm gonna be working on that.
Cool. Awesome, but pretty basic, right, guys? Pretty basic mailer, and just remember, Toya's closed deals on that mailer. So all right, so you use an 800 number versus a local number on your mailers?
I use both.
You use both.
Yeah.
And any reason why you use one or the other? Any?
Normally if out-of-state owners, if they're older, and you use a local number, so they're in Connecticut and I'm in LA. And I use my 323 number. They think it's a toll call.
I see. So you want to do 800 for out of state?
Yeah.
Or especially the older ones. If you're mailing to absentee 65 and older, you want to use your 800 number.
Yeah.
Okay. And when would you use the local number?
Local number, in state. I just switch up every now and then, depending on how I feel and who's doing the mailer.
I see. Okay. And then you want to talk real quick about cold calling?
Sure. So cold calling is something that a lot of people are doing. Irish, you and I were talking about this the other day, how it's like the new thing, but it's like the oldest sales tactic out here, cold calling. And so now that people are able to get telephone numbers with their lists now, more people are cold calling because it's cheaper. And then you're able to speak directly with the seller, where most people aren't doing that. People are hiding behind their mail, like me, and may find it difficult calling and asking, do they want to sell? So what I've done is, there's this company that will do the cold calling for you.
What?
Yeah. So
that's got to be expensive.
It's cheaper than mail-in, I can tell you that.
All right, tell us about that.
So what they'll do is you do have to pay a $500 startup fee. So this is basically to get your telephone number. So when they call, for example, they'll ask you to answer a few questions. So you'll go through like this little survey, and then like if you want to be known as Invest Club, like when they call, hey, we're calling on behalf of Invest Club, or if you have a company and you want to be represented by your company's name. Since I don't have a company's name, so when they call on my behalf, they call on behalf of LA Home Buyers. So that's the name that they've given to me with my number that so it's a local number. So they'll call from a 323 number. And these are people that are in the Philippines that are calling. And so what you do is you give them your list with your telephone numbers, and they will call. And what they will charge is, so after you pay the $500 startup fee, then you give them a budget. So say, for example, I say, okay, I want to spend $500 I gave them, let's say, 2,000 numbers. And so I'm only charged for each person that they speak with. So if they call someone and it's a wrong number, I don't get charged for it. If they call someone and their voicemail comes on, I have the option of having them leave a message or not. Either way, I don't have to pay, unless they make contact with that person. Once they make contact with that person, they charge $1.25 per contact. So I'll have this $500 in the kitty, for example, and every time they contact someone, $1.25 is knocked off. And every Sunday, every week, they send you an update. Basically, okay, we made 80 calls, we had 2 answer, and the rest either said, take me off your list, or they'll have other. And so when they do contact someone that's interested, you'll get an email. And they'll say, you know, it'll say cell sniper success. And then it'll tell you who they spoke with, their telephone number, and the address. And then it's up to you to follow up.
Oh, so eventually you guys are going to have to talk to them.
Correct. So eventually you got to.
What information are they getting?
So it's based on, so you tell them like what type of list. So they have scripts based on each type of list. So for example, and I think Karen will be going over this. I know you went over it last challenge. Like we went over different types of scripts, not to put you on the spot, Karen. So I don't have their scripts, but when I get the email from them stating that they were able to speak to someone, they actually made contact with someone, it kind of gives me like a list of the questions that they ask. You know, is it vacant? How soon are you looking to sell? Why are you selling? Most of the time that stuff isn't completed. Only thing I want to know is, hey, you contacted someone, they said yes, so then it's up to me to figure out the rest.
Cool. Guys, they're not closing these deals for you. They're just simply going out there and making calls for you guys to actually follow up and close it yourself. So I just want you to be really, I think it's so awesome that there are services available. Now, obviously it's not cheap, but if you just absolutely don't want to make any calls, this might be a good way to kind of filter down your list. So when you actually have to talk to someone, they're just truly motivated.
But to pay $125 per call instead of $125 per envelope, that half go to nowhere, you know?
Yeah, that's what
I mean, that's pretty effective.
Yeah.
What was your response been like, Toya?
You know what? Like a lot of the ones that, because they emailed me and said, hey, we ran out of numbers, and I'm just like, man, that was like a lot of numbers, and I didn't get like a good response. So that means either the numbers were bad, so I asked them to give me a breakdown, like what does other mean? Mm-hmm. Right? You know, you're giving me a breakdowns of the ones that you called, the ones that said take me off the list. You're giving me some breakdowns, but I have no idea what other means. And so now you're asking for more numbers. So what they told me is that they even, like, if you contact them, they can give you a place where you can go to get, I guess, better numbers. Because like, since they have other people that they're calling for, they have better response rates. So people are getting their numbers from different places, whether they're uploading their list to their skip tracing service, or they're getting it from their list broker, or where I went to a place and this was before Eric was providing numbers. I had a list and I sent it to, I think it's US, I forget, I have to look at it, but I sent it to like this service that was able to pull the numbers in for me, numbers and email addresses.
Okay, so just understand this, warriors, you know, it's one thing getting the list, right? A specific list, whether it's absentee, over 65, absentee, tax delinquent, absentee, you know, whatever Toya had mentioned earlier. And it's another fee to get numbers and emails.
If you choose to go that route. Now that Eric has numbers, if you decide to use his services, he can pull numbers in for you.
Okay. A quick question. Someone asked where you got your 800 number.
I use Freedom Voice. I use
Freedom Voice. Okay. Thank you. A lot of the call services.
Yeah, and I only use Freedom Voice because that's who my mentor used. So everything he did, I did exactly what he did. I said exactly what he said on his voicemail. I did everything the way he did it. So I never got rid of the 800 number. Got
it. And Cassandra mentioned Grasshopper, and Roxana mentioned Call 8, right?
And also Call Rail.
Call Rail. I
which
love
is
Call
who
Rail.
I use for my local number.
Call Rail. I love them.
I love them too. Like I would suggest that you look into Call Rail or Bumber, which is almost like Call Rail as well. And they record
Bumber, B-U-M-B-E-R?
Correct.
Bumber.com. Okay.
Yes. They also record calls.
And then Cindy says Answer Force. Okay. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of good stuff. Okay, Toya, let's wrap it up. Any, oh, there's a dialer. Do you want to talk about the dialer real quick?
Yeah. So for those of you that are not realtors, there's a dialer and you want to do your own cold calling. There's a site called Mojo Dialer. So I know a lot of wholesalers that are breaking away from direct mail that are using Mojo. And so I know realtors have their own dialers that they can use when they're calling out. So Mojo, I believe, is $89 per month. And you can call up to 85 people per hour. They also give you, you can pull expired listings. You can search by neighbors. You can call, like, you could pick a, what do you call it, a farm area. So let's say you had a zip code that you wanted to farm, and it'll dial all the houses in that particular zip code to see if they are looking to sell. You can also pull FSBOs for sell by owners. And so so usually this is only a service that realtors have access to, but now we get it too now.
Okay, so awesome. So dialing, okay, let me just say this. I think what's really important, you guys, is that there's a method to our madness in the 60-day challenge. And in the beginning, we wanted you to call everyone so you can get used to having a conversation. This week, we're going to start mailing. We're going to start doing some marketing. So by now, I know all of you have talked to so many people that when you've actually spent some money on marketing and somebody calls you, you're not just going to drop the ball, because you guys have already built the confidence and know what questions to ask. It's already like in your skin, in your being, to be able to ask the pertinent questions, such as, is it vacant? Why are you selling such a great house? And what are the repairs that are needed, etc. Right? Why aren't you using an agent? Right? Try to get to the motivation. So now you know how to have that conversation. So I think it's critical to have that under your belt before you start mailing. And I think it's critical if, the big thing right now is everyone's saying, oh, you got a cold call. Well, guess what? Everyone's been cold calling since the beginning of time. And now all of a sudden it's all popular again. And I think part of its popularity is simply the fact that there are numbers available. There are numbers available, and all kinds of list brokers are making the numbers available. So if you have the balls, get on the phone and actually call these people, you can absolutely lower your price per lead and maybe get some deals done as well. And so what my hope for you is right now is that you have spoken, made those 5 phone calls a day, spoken to people about and have been having real estate conversations for the last 5 weeks, so that when you actually mail, or if you should decide to just do phone calls, you feel confident about that. Okay. Now, I think the dialers are great. Yes, Toya, there's dialers that have been available to agents, again, since the beginning of time, right, Grace? Right, Sherry? Jarek? They have dialers, right, where agents just get on the phone in the office, and part of their training is they got to call all the expireds, or they got to call all the just listeds, or they got to call all the just solds, right? And the dialers will go out and get all the numbers in the entire neighborhood. Well, guess what? Investors can do that too. So the investors got smart. So instead of just calling all the just listed and all the owner occupieds in the neighborhood, they are now getting smart, and they're getting leads like vacant houses and incorporating that into the dialer. So here's the thing, before any of you run out and get a dialer, what I would suggest is maybe making a few phone calls for free. and getting used to that. Because the only time you ever need a dialer is in the event that you should decide that you want to make a shit ton of calls. Got it? So for example, Anastasia is my broker partner, and 3 days a week or 3 or 4 days a week, she sits on that dialer on the phone for 4 hours, just making call after call after call after call. She just stands at her desk, and when that dialer picks up, boom, she's talking. So I want you to think about how powerful that is if all you're calling is just vacant homes, right? Versus, are you interested in selling your house? Or are you interested in listing your house? Okay. So, and then again, all these other tools are available out there. So if you can't get the numbers, you can skip trace, right? And so there's so many levels, and so much money you could spend. You could have someone else making these calls for you if you want to spend the money. And my advice to you is give a few of these a go and see what you like, and then invest the money. Okay. So again, finally, what I'd like to do is just quickly go through the rest of this, of her worksheet, so you guys know it's there. Okay, so the rest of her, what do you call this, handout, are some sample marketing pieces. Can you guys see that? So here's some popular ones, as basic as, whatever, we're interested in buying this property and call us at this number, right? So these are all great examples of what have been used in the past.
Can you go back up?
Yes.
That may be popular if you're looking to the right where it says the sample zip letters. So
this one?
Yes, look like income tax time, right? So those are usually popular around this time.
Oh yeah, that'll get open.
Yeah.
They think it's a refund, a tax refund.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's at yellowletters.com.
Yellowletters.com, this one right here. Do you know how much that is?
I want to say $1 and some change.
Okay.
Well, we'll look it up, but I'm on my phone, so.
And then have you used any of these postcards, or are these things that you've seen?
These are all that I've seen. I pulled all this stuff from yellowletters.com. So if you go there, it's like they have stuff for investors, they have stuff for realtors. Yeah.
Okay, so this is all in your handout. So go ahead and check it out. And like she said, the websites, even just the websites that provide this service, have a bunch of samples that you can use or inquire about. Any questions so far? Okay, so another document that I want to share with you, and this is in your 60-day challenge folder, or I'm sorry, Dropbox, is marketing supplies. So